Days Gone is out and it's quite the ride, pun intended. I've played about 10 hours and am really enjoying my time with it, but it's not without its fair share of speed bumps either. So here's a list of pros and cons for Days Gone. If you don't hate Deacon St. John based on his name alone, then just wait till you see the guy in a conversation. What a twat.
What's your problem?
I don't care how many wives he's lost in helicopter accidents, there's not a shred of interesting character here, and his inane mutterings never end.
I just gotta put them together and yes.
The buck doesn't stop with Deacon either. Basically everyone you encounter in the world is grizzled and moody to varying degrees. I mean, just once I'd like to end a conversation without things escalating into a fistfight.
If anybody touches this bike, or anything on it, I break your fingers.
Video game apocalypses are often set exclusively within urban environments to highlight the impact of their world-ending events. But setting this story in the dramatic wilderness of the Pacific Northwest, we finally get a chance to pull over, stretch our legs, and take in some of the natural beauty still left behind. Dense forests, running rivers, and often dark and moody skies make for a great backdrop that's both beautiful and bleak.
Why is it always raining?
Not since the early days of DayZ have I enjoyed this kind of scenic post-apocalyptic camping. This guy handles like a weighty old chopper. No, not the bike, Deacon. There's a trend of having overly weighty movement in third-person games these days, and while I think it works a lot of the time, this isn't the place for it. Sure, it makes sense with Gears of War's chunky boys, but Deacon's not wearing 150 kilos of armor. He's a fit, stealthy biker dude.
Oh, Jesus. I gotta get in shape.
But his athletic animations don't gel with how muddy the controls feel. I assume they want you to feel sluggish compared to the fast, agile enemies out there. And bumping the thumbstick sensitivity up certainly helped a bit, but it still feels like I'm wading through thick, syrupy country molasses. The list of threats in this national park are enough to turn anyone away from a leisurely camping trip. Marauders, rippers, wild animals, oh my. But it's the zombies, or freakers as they're not so cleverly nicknamed, that you'll be constantly on the lookout for. Singled out, they're not that challenging or even that interesting from a design perspective, but it's amazing how quickly you can find yourself being overwhelmed if you're not careful. These things are everywhere, and they're relentless. It's not often in a game that running away feels like a sensible option, but I am not embarrassed to admit I did my fair share of cheesing it here. The combat is designed to be challenging, and you're likely to take a hit or two as encounters spiral out of control. But tracking your current health can be a real struggle. Yeah, there's a pretty large health bar down the bottom left of screen, but it's green on a slightly different green until it suddenly isn't. And aside from this bar, I haven't seen any other cues that you're low on health. Ideally, we'd see an animation of Deacon out of breath or nursing a wound, or even just a bloody vignette. But there's nothing. And having walked into fights on a sliver of health one too many times, I can safely say I hate this. The idea of roaring around an apocalypse on the noisiest vehicle ever built is not what I would call a smart decision. Then again, we've already established my opinion about the brain capacity of old mate Deacon here. But after jumping in the saddle and going for a cruise, it wasn't long before I'd totally fallen in love with my big old hunk of junk.
Whoa, hold on, they're slowing down.
More like a post-apocalyptic Epona, the bike not only allows the game to expand its scale, it also adds to your ever-growing to-do list with fuel and repair management, as well as some seriously useful upgrades that you'll need to avoid breaking down in the middle of the Badlands, which I can genuinely say is a terrifying but thrilling experience when it does happen. Being an open-world game, clear mission management is crucial to making progress and pushing through the narrative. Unfortunately, Days Gone chooses to break story beats into muddled chapters, each with multiple progression bars and percentage meters for smaller checkpoints. It's confusing, and I'll be honest, I'm still a bit lost at what I should be doing next. You could argue this makes the whole experience less checklisty and more immersive, but it's all undone by the amount of text pop-ups and UI clutter thrown at you between each mission anyway. When you're not chasing down the next cutscene, you'll notice there's actually an impressive amount of systems and mechanics to deal with. And on their own, they're nothing we haven't experienced plenty of times before. Collecting and crafting, stealthing camps, managing resources, upgrading skills and vehicles, etc. But Days Gone combines enough dumb, fun ideas to give you a taste of survival while avoiding overly tedious tropes. The result is a game that just lets you enjoy the ride. Yes, I'm back on the hat thing. In our first look at Days Gone, I gave Deacon some grief for his cool boy backwards cap. He wears it on his bike, he wears it in tunnels, hell, he even has the gall to wear the damn thing inside. The fact that there's an apocalypse going on out there is not an excuse to throw away the last shred of civility. Now, many of you raised the valid point that wearing a hat brim forwards on a motorbike is a great way to lose it. First thing, good, lose the hat. That's what I've been saying the whole time. Secondly, this is a game about survival, and a backwards cap isn't going to save his face from sunburn, a bullet, or most likely cracking his head open on the bitumen. Come on, mate, be safe, wear a helmet. Well, there was a list of pros and cons for Days Gone. Now for a bit of country culture, please welcome Deacon St. John Denver to play us out. Almost all dead, Pacific Northwest, human race turning into undead. Life is precious unless you're a redneck. Shoot them in their faces, no one gives a heck. Country road, Deacon St. John, stretch your face. Boozman's dumb, we're all the freakers. Please just end this, days are gone. Country road.